Hi, this is Debbie from the Cherubs Breastfeeding Support Service. I'm doing a video today on paced bottle feeding, that's PACED, and this method of bottle feeding is suited for all babies receiving a bottle, whether it's formula, whether it's express breast milk, whether it's occasional, whether it's exclusive. This way of feeding helps to mimic breastfeeding and the way that the breast flows with milk as much as we can, so therefore it benefits baby in that baby has more control over the feed, less likely to overfeed, less likely to have any tummy upsets, colicky symptoms, etc. So before I start talking about paced bottle feeding and demonstrating that with my baby in my bottle that I have here today, I'm just going to quickly go over breastfeeding and how that works, because one links into the other. So here is my lovely baby, and breast here. Now, often what I see, or what people assume, is that obviously here is the breast, there is the nipple, and there is the mouth, and basically they go together like so. And when I'm doing home visits and I'm going to visit new mums, you know, they're applying this logic, and I can totally see how they think that makes sense. But often that leads to baby not opening their jaw very wide, the nose actually being buried into the breast, and it's actually opposite to what we want. Your baby's not going to get a good latch doing that. That's probably going to be causing quite a lot of maternal pain, and if there's maternal pain and a shallow latch, even though baby might be spending considerable time at the breast, their actual milk transfer is going to be probably quite poor. So how babies actually need to drink would be very similar to us as adults, is they need to be able to tilt the head back. So when you can tilt your head back, you can then open your lower jaw much wider. Try it yourselves. And instead of the nipple going perpendicular into the baby's mouth, it's actually going to be aimed more towards the palate. So when a baby latches on, they should look more like this at the breast rather than like this. So I've got the nose free, and that's not for breathing, although breathing's good. It's telling me that the angle of the feed is that the nipple and the breast tissue are going right up to the palate. So it's not having to negotiate the big bend of going under the maxilla bone, which is the one where your upper teeth comes through, up over under the palate and towards the back. We're shortening that distance and going straight to the back. So that would constitute a good latch on the breast, and what we want to try and do is emulate that with the bottle. But again, before I do that, I will demonstrate traditionally how we see people bottle feed babies and the reasons behind that. So often the baby is in a cradle position, usually the head neutral or possibly slightly in flexion and laying quite far back. And then the bottle is introduced into the mouth, and then the bottle is put quite upright. So in this position, if you can see that I've got the angle of the bottle is pointing more down towards the tongue, and the part here, which would be the sort of the top of the breast, is more towards the nose. So we have got that sort of head down trying to drink manoeuvre, rather than the opposite to what I said before. So this would make it very difficult for your baby to really open their jaw wide, get their tongue out, wrap their tongue around the teat to form a suction seal, and then draw the milk without introducing air. So we'll rectify that slightly by allowing your baby's head to relax back a little bit more, and it's less pointing towards the tongue, and we've got it a little bit more towards the back of the mouth. But we have still got this upright bottle going on, and the reason a lot of people do this is because everyone panics about air. So the belief is that we should make sure there's never the slightest bit of air in this teat here, because if there is, the baby gets that, they'll be riddled with wind and colic, and everyone's going to be unhappy. Well, this is a bit of a fallacy too, because when babies are bottle fed, they are going to be more prone to getting a little bit more wind than a well-attached baby to the breast. And the reason is because of the latch to the teat. Often that's not been done particularly well, like I said before, that would not be a good latch, or they might be very, very shallow on it, just getting the end, not opening mouth wider and actually coming up the sides of the teat. But also the fact that the teat is a predetermined shape, and although it's soft in that we can squeeze it and manipulate it, it's not so soft that it would fill the nooks and crannies of your baby's unique oral cavity. So for that reason, whereas a breast will do that, a bottle won't, and the tendency to be more shallow on a teat is they're more prone to be taking in some little parts of air when they're bottle feeding. So yes, the air doesn't come from the teat itself, it comes from the latch to the bottle. But when we're trying to avoid the dreaded air and wind, and we've got our bottles quite upright or even horizontal, then gravity is pushing this milk directly towards the exit point. So the holes in the teat, that's where the gravitational force is towards those. So whether my baby likes it or not, milk's coming. And this baby obviously is not a real baby, and there is no suction. There's no it's very passive, just sat here, just accepting whatever's coming. But a real baby obviously is going to suck, and suck quite strongly. That is going to result in milk plus the aid of gravity. And then when the baby's actually doing the action of swallowing, that creates negative pressure, which then draws more milk out before the next suck, plus we've still got gravity. So as a result, babies can look as if they've never been fed before. If we tip a baby back, a new baby, we pop a bottle in its mouth and off it goes, gulp, 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 gulp. It can totally mess with their heads, particularly if this is a mum who's been breastfeeding and she's not sure it's going well and she thinks the baby needs a top up, then the baby drinks like it's never been fed. She can then start thinking, oh my goodness, this baby's starving. But a lot of the time it's the baby just having no control over this flow whatsoever and having no choice but to protect its airway and just gulp, gulp, gulp. And we often see babies get very, very messy around the mouth. So although they're trying to swallow it at the rate it's coming out, it's overspilling, coming out the sides, hence the bibs come out and all the rest. So yeah, the belief that they are getting wind from the teat and any air in the teat will result in gravity playing a big part in how this bottle flows with liquid. So if I now just remove this bottle, for the few minutes that we've had it in this baby's mouth and talking, this baby has passively collected the following. There we go. So I know that's not a massive amount, but that was received passively. And if I just say, baby, sit there. If I just show you by my light coloured wall there, if I just show you actually it happening, so that's just having the bottle upright, I even tilt it so it's not completely and utterly upright. You can see that liquid is coming out pretty fast. I think what I was doing a lot of the time as well is I had the teat pressed on the bottom, so I was stemming the flow slightly. So this is what's happening in conjunction with your baby sucking and swallowing, is there's a significant amount of fluid flowing out. So let's just decant that and we'll start again. So we're going to try and help limit that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take baby from this reclined position here to a more upright position, around about 45 degrees. It might be that you hold your baby on your lap when you do this. If I hold this baby on my lap, then baby's going out of the screen. So I'm going to hold this baby quite high up, and you could too. If you've got a very small little baby, then up here's fine. As well as the 45 degree angle, we need to look at the head angle. So again, because babies sometimes don't have, well, often they don't have the greatest neck and back support yet, so even when we're doing this, they'll tend to start sort of imploding on themselves a little bit and be like that. So that's not going to work very well, because babies, you're pushing it down, and that's not going to be the best of latches. So we ideally want baby's head to be able to rock back slightly onto the crook of your arm. So like with the breast, we can aim everything up towards the palate, chin leading, nose free, and the same with the bottle. If you've got a very, very small baby, or if you just find it easy to start with, you can just create a nice deep neck cradle. Again, we would do this when we're breastfeeding, and some support behind the back of the arms and the shoulders, and you could just sit them on your lap. I'm going to pretend that this baby's sat on my lap, and just have them on your knee, front of you, just have them sat up, support their body up, and just allow again the head to rock back slightly. So now we can do what we would do on the breast, and that is tickle the lip and the nose area and get baby to invite the bottle in, which would be a rooting manoeuvre. So it would be a kind of movement, and if baby does that, we know that the bottle can go in, and instead of going centralised into the tongue, I'm aiming this, because the head's back, the jaw's wide open, going right up towards the palate. So now this bottle is just above horizontal, and I have the tiniest, if you can see there, the tiniest of air bubbles just knocking about there, but that's fine as long as the teat itself, where the holes are, is full of milk. If you did slosh it back to here, what you would hear when the baby sucks is a squeak, 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 as they're drinking. So you'd know just to put it back in, and that little bit of air, it's just a burp that's going to come up. But it's unlikely you're going to be doing that. That is absolutely fine. With this bottle, because it's quite a narrow base teat, we can actually fill it and still not have the milk pouring out as we did before. So we can have baby like this, or like baby. We can have them crook of the arm, head tilted back, and just offer the bottle at more of a horizontal position. So when baby wants to drink, they will suck, they will draw milk from the teat, and milk will flow. But when they need to breathe and pause, which is natural for babies, and what they would do at the breast, is gravity is actually keeping the milk this way in the bottle, not that way in the bottle as it was before. So baby's not going to be forced to be drinking at a rate that is faster or greater than what they were choosing, and they are less likely to overfeed, less likely to have any excess to vomit up, less likely to have wind, in the sense that if there is a flow of milk that is fast and you're not in control, you're more likely to sort of try and get away from the bottle, lose your latch, cough, splutter, have to go back on, and that in itself can introduce wind. If a baby is just on the bottle and just calm and not feeling the need to go like crazy to protect their airway, then they're more likely to sustain a nice secure seal. So as the volume decreases in the bottle, you can tip your baby up slightly more and tip the bottle up slightly more if need be. But for the time being, this is absolutely fine for this baby. If you have a baby that is kind of drinking and guzzling and looks and sounds as if they're slightly overwhelmed, despite the fact that you are holding it more of a paste bottle feeding position, I'm just going to swap. Ooh, whoops! Let's get that bottle again. Is you can do a little manoeuvre where, if baby's drinking, if they seem a bit overwhelmed, you can just bend the bottle down and just bend the teat. That just bends it in half. It generally seals it so that air isn't going through. Obviously the milk is down by the bottle again, and once they've just sort of got their breath back and paused and you feel that they start sucking again, is you can return it back to that position. That is something that you can do if need be, but to be honest, this alone generally remedies all the issues that I've just been talking about before. So haven't seen that many babies where we need to employ that sort of plan B of help slow the feed down. So as you can see, I've had this now in this baby's mouth for a good few minutes while I've been chatting away. So what we'll do is we'll just have a look to see what's in this one. And as you can see, there is just a little drip floating around the bottom there. And to be honest, that probably came out when I was messing about, putting up and down, but far, far less than the other one, tiny amounts. So that is paste bottle feeding. And as I say, it's for any baby, regardless of what it's being fed and regardless of how frequently it's being fed. You know, particularly if you are a breastfeeding mum, this way of feeding your baby is going to be far less different for them, far less overwhelming, more likely to accept a bottle. If you can imagine that when you go onto a breast and you stimulate the milk ejection reflex, so the milk isn't there right away at start in great volume anyway. You know, when they go onto a bottle and they do a huge amount of suction and suddenly, whoa, here comes the milk, then they can be a bit like, whoa, what's going on? And particularly if mum is doing the, okay, well, this is how you bottle feed, it can be very overwhelming, and the baby might then just go, whoa, this isn't working for me, I'm not accepting this bottle. So paste bottle feeding is mimicking breastfeeding in terms of where we aim the teat into the baby's mouth and how we try and control the flow for the baby. So we're not saying you can't have the milk, even at that sort of more horizontal position there, that milk will come. See if I can demonstrate, get baby out of the way. So if a baby was now sucking on this teat, I don't know if you can, no, you can't see, but take my word for it that it is, there we go, you can see it squirting all over my hands there, all blue juice, squirting all over my hands, but it's not coming out. There's a tiny drip just hanging off there. It's not coming out when we're not doing anything. So that's the important point. So yes, paste bottle feeding, that's what we mean by it, that's how you do it, and hopefully some of you will find that really helpful. Okay, thank you very much.